Okay, folks, forget your tinfoil hats. They're not going to help you. The eyes that are watching us are no longer up in space. No, they're already inside the house. Hi, I'm Amelia Dalton, host of Chalk Talk. In the exciting and creepy IoT world of the future, we know that sensors and connectivity hubs will be everywhere, watching our every move and, helping us? But where will we put all of those handy hubs? How about inside our lights? It makes sense, right? They're everywhere, wired for power, conveniently located. My guests today are Peter Bolan and Bob Householder, and we're going to talk about some exciting applications based on LED lighting. Before we get started, don't forget to click that link. There you can find out more information about LED lighting solutions from Avnet. Hi, Bob. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much.
Okay, so you guys are from Avnet. Why am I talking to you guys about LEDs? Now, I know Avnet as a component distributor, and I know I can buy, say, a Xilinx processor from you guys, but what are you doing in the lighting space?
Well, we still want you to buy those Xilinx processors, but we do want you to buy LEDs from us. We've leveraged our expertise in microprocessors and taken that right to the lighting space.
Excellent. Okay, so we're here to talk about lighting and LEDs, but the Internet of Things business is going crazy these days, and lighting is going to be one of those things, right? Is it going to be the IOL or the Internet of Lighting?
Maybe the LOI? I'm not really sure, but yes, it is. It's more than just that. So lighting, every spot where there's a light, that is a node. It's a place where you can collect information. And so it's not just a light that's high power with an electrician to wire it up, but lighting is transforming to be like a router so that your IT guy can just go and hook it up.
Huh, interesting. Okay. So that first thing you talked about was lighting as a node. I hadn't really thought about that before. They're everywhere, so it makes sense that it would be a node.
Right. I mean, you need light in your office, in your room, and everywhere. So once you have that light there, it's a point of collection. You can do something with that light that you really hadn't thought about before because of the Internet of Things.
Right. Okay. So you also mentioned lighting as a router. Now, that's really cool. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so a router, everyone knows about routers. Routers are everywhere. We need routers to get information back and forth to the internet.
Yeah.
And so because LEDs are low power, now we can think about running them from lower voltages. And, oh, by the way, the power over Ethernet now is up to 90 watts, which is actually a fair amount of power.
Yeah.
And you can have a lot of light with 90 watts these days.
Absolutely. Okay, and what about lighting as a puzzle? What's that all about?
Yeah, so it really is a puzzle because there are so many pieces that have to come together to make the light work these days when we're talking about LEDs, of course. So it's solid-state lighting, it's an electronic component, it's low power, and it's more than just that. You need all these different pieces to come together in the right way to make the light work.
Okay, so we're all engineers here. Let's dive down into some details about LEDs.
Yeah, so LEDs are really interesting devices. It's transformed lighting. So they're low power, of course.
Yeah.
So 3 volts, and you can drive them with a current source. And they're directional, so that you can put them all together on a printed circuit board, and you could make light and do anything. And things that you weren't able to do before. It's replacing neon signs, and it's replacing even stadiums for lighting. So it's super efficient, and you can do much more with it than you could before.
Okay, so even though LEDs run cool, we still need to get rid of some heat. How do we go about doing that?
Well, you put some aluminum on the backside.
That's really not very exciting, Bob.
It isn't. No.
Okay, well, let's talk about something a bit more interesting. Let's talk about optics.
Yes, I love optics. And what's interesting about it is that people start with lighting and they think about the LED, but really you should think about where does the light go?
Oh, okay.
And then how do I take that light and do something with it for what's needed, whether
Yeah.
you're out in the street or you're inside your room. So think about where the light should go and then work backwards through the system and then say, okay, I need a low power or high power LED, and how many LEDs do I need, and start to configure your system from there. But start with the light, what the light should do, and work backwards. And there are so many different ways of controlling that light, lenses and reflectors and combinations and so forth.
Very cool. All right, let's bring in Peter. Let's talk about power. These things still need power, right?
Everything needs power. Yes, we're drawn to power. Here's the interesting thing about power with LEDs. You can take one big LED or 5 small LEDs, and each one will put out the same amount of light, but their power requirements will be different. So as everybody is lost in this sauce of having to decide how many LEDs to make the light they want, the power requirements need to change along with them so that they match their current requirement to the power supply.
Okay, so we've got a light source, a heat sink, some optics, and a power source. Looks like we've just reinvented the light bulb. Let's talk about, instead of putting light out, how about information in and that whole node thing?
Well, we're talking about control from the basic controls. Yeah, we've got a light bulb. How do we turn the damn thing off? To what can we add to the light bulb to make it smarter?
Yeah.
Can we make it see? Can we make it hear? Can we make it smell? And this is where Bob spoke about earlier in terms of the nodes on a network. It's already there. Any place where there's people, there's light. So we're going to add sensors to the light bulbs, and they're going to do just about anything we want them to do. They run the gamut.
Okay, so it's time for the cool and maybe slightly creepy part. Let's start connecting these bad boys to the internet.
Exactly. And it's the same if you think about it in terms of a human being, where the things that you sense with your eyes, your ears, your nose go. They all go to the brain, and they get collected and they get analyzed. And at the end of the day, hopefully they turn into something good or money.
Yes, always money.
Absolutely.
So who exactly wants to connect lights to the internet? In practical terms, who wants these sensors?
These sensors can do a lot of things, mostly make people's jobs easier or make jobs easier to do with fewer people. If you think about outdoors and street lights, for example, they're owned mostly by the government and municipalities, but they need to know what's going on everywhere in their town. And with the right sensors, they can monitor air quality. They can listen for gunshots or car accidents. They can put a camera up there and watch. They can monitor wind direction, see how a storm is moving through town. All of these things are possible. And in that they're connected, they can follow the path of, say, a gas cloud going through a town and know where to go and know what's happening.
So what about inside? I'm guessing there's similar applications there.
I think you will find that the path to money is probably a shorter one in terms of internal sensors. The retail industry is going to be a different place based on sensors and lights. The display that you're standing in front of in a store is going to see the cell phone in your pocket. They're not going to know who you are or what your number is, but they'll know that you're there. And just measuring the amount of time that you stand in front of one display versus another is going to be data that they collect, and it's probably worth a few dollars to people who do displays.
Interesting. Okay, so where am I going to see this? Or rather, where is this going to see me?
It's there today. If we look back, the control in lighting started to really have an impact a number of years ago, say 6 to 7 years ago, when retail stores and primarily grocery stores realized that by putting the right light color onto produce would cause that produce to be picked up and bought that much more often based on its attractiveness.
Huh, interesting.
The Apple guys loved it. Not those Apple guys.
Right.
And that was 6 and 7 years ago, and that was just the quality of light. When we go to the smart lights, the intelligent lighting system that we're talking about now, I can give you a couple of examples. For instance, if you go to the same gas station a couple times a week and you pay with the same card, the machine is going to recognize that card, and it's also going to know what you've purchased besides gasoline inside the store from time to time. The big drive for a convenience store guy is to get the gas purchaser inside his building to buy some of the products on which he makes most of his money.
Sure.
So in this case, you're going to put your credit card in, and the gas pump is going to greet you and say, by the way, that product that you bought last week is on sale today. Come on in and pick up a few. This exists today. The sensors for recognizing you, they're attached to the lights. Probably a even more dynamic example of where you'll see this today is if you walk into a certain big box store that has lighting fixtures on a grid in the ceiling, and you take out your cell phone and connect to their Wi-Fi. The lighting beacons have GPS capability, and they'll know your location in the store. If you tell them, I'm looking for men's jeans, they will know that you can be routed to the men's jeans aisle through any one of 4 different aisles: baby clothes, cosmetics, fishing gear, or beer. They're going to take a somewhat educated guess that if you're looking for men's jeans, maybe the beer aisle would be the best place to walk you down through the store. I'm guessing. And before you get to that beer aisle, and we're talking a number of seconds, in the background, there will be an online auction between beer suppliers to see who wants to give you a coupon that day immediately for the beer that you're going to be walking past inside 10 seconds.
Interesting. Wow.
A lot of data. It moves fast. It all is going to be wrapped around the lighting system in these buildings, and it exists today.
Very cool. Well, I think that's all I have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me, Bob and Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And before we go, you didn't forget to click that link, did you? There you can find out more information about LED lighting solutions from Avnet. For Chalk Talk, I'm Amelia Dalton from eejournal.com. For more Chalk Talks, check out the on-demand section of eejournal.com or head on over to YouTube, keyword EE Journal.